Hi, Maureen.
Hi, Lauren.
Are you ready to do our writing strategy?
Yes, I am.
Okay, wonderful. Well, today we're going to review this mnemonic device, POW plus WWW, what equals to, how equals to. Today, we're going to work on memorizing this. We're going to write a story together using all 7 of the story parts. And we're also going to record our self-statements onto our self-statement chart. Before we do that, let's just review and see if you remember what these all stand for. Okay, let's start with POW. Do you remember what the P stands for?
Pick my idea.
Good. In a story, you're going to work on picking your idea first. What about the O?
Organize my notes.
Good. Organize your notes and thoughts. And what about W?
Write and say more.
Very good, Maureen. Okay, now let's start on the 7 W's. What does the first stand for?
Who.
Who? Who is the character? Very good. The next one?
When.
When. When does the story take place? Good. And
Where.
where does the story take place? Okay, what about the 2 whats? What's the first one?
What the main character wants to do.
Good. What the main character wants to do. And the second one is?
What happens then.
Very good. And the last 2 for how.
How does the story end and how does the character feel?
Very good, Maureen. You got those all perfectly. Keep working on those because they'll help you become a better writer. We'll continue to work on those together. So last time we also talked about transferring these strategies into other classes so you'll be able to generalize them better and understand them more. Were you able to use this strategy in any other classes?
Yes, I used it to help me write a book report.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you did that. Let's write this down on your transfer sheet. And did you show anyone how to use this?
Yeah, I helped my partner learn how to use it.
Very good. I'm glad you did that. That'll help you with the strategy. Let's keep this and continue to transfer your strategy into other subjects. Okay. So, before we start writing our own story, I want to look at this one story with you and just make sure that it has all the 7 steps before we start. It's called The Farmer Story. Many years ago, there was an old farmer who lived near the woods. He owned a donkey. The farmer wanted to put his donkey in the barn. First, he pushed him, but the donkey would not move. Next, the farmer tried to frighten the donkey into the barn. He asked his dog to bark at the donkey, but the dog refused. Then the farmer thought that his cat could get the dog to bark. So the cat scratched the dog. The dog began to bark. The barking frightened the donkey and he jumped into the barn. The farmer was very proud of himself. So let's record what steps we had. Who is this story talking about?
The old farmer.
Very good. And when did this story take place?
Many years ago.
Good, so we have 2 out of the 7 story parts. Where did this take place?
Near the woods.
Very good. Okay, now what? What did the main character want to do?
He wanted to put his donkey in the barn.
Very good. He wanted to put his donkey in the barn. And so what happens next?
He comes up with different ways to try to trick the donkey into the barn.
Very good. Fabulous. And finally, how does the story end?
He gets his cat to scratch the dog. The dog begins to bark, and it frightens the donkey, so he jumps into the barn.
Wonderful. And how does that character feel at the end?
Proud.
Good. So does this have all 7 story parts?
Yes.
It does. This was a good story. I like that one. Good job, Maureen. Okay. Now, we're going to use this prompt to write our own story. And we're also going to work on things that we can say to ourselves while writing to help make us a better writer. Okay, when we look over at this again, we have P for pick your idea. So for picking your idea, you want to practice thinking about good story ideas and good story parts. We have to be creative and use our whole minds and think outside of the box. When I want to think about good pictures, I tell myself I have to keep my mind open, I have to let my ideas be free, and I have to take my time because good ideas will come. One thing I think about is what interests me in the story because that will make you come up with better ideas. This will encourage you and give you good ideas. Okay, Maureen. What's some things that you say to yourself when you are writing?
I ask myself what I have to do. I think outside the box.
Uh-huh.
I remember all 7 parts.
Very good.
I try to be open-minded.
Open-minded.
And have fun.
Very good. You are on a roll. Okay. That's great. One thing that I noticed is that you didn't use negative statements, which is good because that can make your writing frustrating and it won't be any fun. So we recorded your self-statements. Now let's look at our graphic organizer. These have all of the 7 steps that we talked about, and when we write our own story today, we're going to fill in the parts. You're going to use organizers like this too the next time you write a story. So let's think about my goals. In P, pick my idea. Well, I want to write a good story. I want it to make sense for the reader. We have to include all 7 parts, and I want it to be fun. Okay? So let's start writing based on this prompt. Who are we talking about? Let's see, who are we talking about? Let's have a turtle named, what should his name be?
Tortuga.
Okay, Tortuga. Very good. When should this story take place? How about 100 years ago? Do you like that?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Where does this story take place? It could be in a tree or it could be in the woods. Let's do in the woods. Okay, what does the main character do? Well, it looks like to me he has a problem. It looks like he's stuck somewhere. Where does it look like he's stuck?
Looks like he's stuck in the tree.
Yeah. He's stuck in the tree. And what happens then? He's stuck in the tree and looks like he's seeing something. Maybe he sees his friends, but they're far away. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how does the story end? How do you think the story should end, Ryan?
He should call to his friends for help. Maybe the squirrels.
Okay, the squirrels, and do they rescue him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so his squirrel friends rescue him. And how does he feel about this? Let's make him feel happy?
Happy.
Okay, happy. Looks like we have a good story. Okay, so we're using our organizer to organize our thoughts, which is the O in POW. Do you remember when we talked about $1 million words last week?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about using good words, and each word is worth $1 million. So how about instead of saying the woods into the woods, let's think about a different idea, $1 million word instead of woods. Can you think of one?
Forest.
Forest, that's a good one. Very good. And instead of he's
stuck in the foliage.
Foliage? Okay, foliage. Stuck in the foliage, not a tree. That's a $2 billion word. Okay, so these all work. And it's easy to get frustrated, but you just have to tell yourself, I can do this. We're coming up with good new ideas. All right, so we went back and added more notes. Now, we're going to go and write our story on our new fresh piece of paper. All right. Now, where do I start? We have to start with who, what, and where. So, who? Let's start with where, actually. How about 100 years ago, there was a turtle named Tortuga. Very good name. Now we did who, what, let's see where. He lived far away in the enchanted forest. Enchanted's a good word. Let's write that down here. Okay? All right, now we did who, when, and where. What? One day, he was moseying around and found a tall tree. Okay? He decided to climb the tree, and what happened?
He got stuck in the foliage.
And he got stuck in the foliage. That's the problem. Okay, what happens then? Then he sees his squirrel friends far away, and he decides to, what does he decide?
Call to them for help.
He decides to call to his friends for help. His squirrel friends come and they...
Make a chain to rescue him from the tree.
Oh, that's a good one. They make a squirrel chain and rescue him from the tree. Tortuga the turtle is very happy. Okay, so that's our story. And while I was writing this, I was thinking to myself, am I using good parts? Yes. Am I using all of the parts so far? Well, we used all 7. My story makes sense, and I had a good time. That was fun. So, let's refer to our self-statement sheet. Okay, Maureen, do you remember the things that I said when I was getting started to myself?
Yep, you asked yourself what you had to do,
Uh-huh.
and then you realized you have to use all 7 story parts.
All 7 story parts, yep.
And the mnemonic helps do that.
You're right, the mnemonic device that we worked with. Good job. That's fabulous. What about while I was working? Do you remember things that I said?
You asked yourself if the story made sense
Mm-hmm.
and if you were correctly using all the parts.
Right. Very good. I did say that. And finally, when I was finished, I said...
that you did a good job.
Okay, I praised myself. Good.
And it was fun.
It was fun.
And you were excited to share it.
I did say that. Okay. So, we had all 7 parts, right? Let's go to my favorite part. The story rocket graph. And for this story called, what should we call this story?
Rocky the Rocket.
Okay, or we could refer to the turtle that we wrote about, but that's good. Well, let's talk about the turtle. How about Tortuga the turtle? And we had not 1, not 2, but 7 story parts, so we're filling this in all the way. Okay, very good. I think we did a great job today. 2 things I want you to remember. The next time we meet, I'm gonna test you again on this mnemonic, the POW plus WWW, what to and how to. You did a great job on that, so keep practicing. And also, if you can, I want you to be able to transfer the strategy in another way, and we can record it on your transfer graph, okay?
Okay.
Well, good job, Maureen. You did fabulous work, and I will see
Thank you.
I will see you in a second.
Okay.